Thank you very much. You have up to 5 minutes.
I'll try and do it.
Thank you.
Right. If we start with democracy, the new and draconian rules that are not allowing residents to ask questions, receive answers, or ask supplementary questions regarding this petition here this evening is actually strangling democracy here in Barnet. The last petition, which was to keep the library open...
Excuse me, Councillor Coakley-Webb, before you carry on in this vein, we are a committee here this evening governed by the Constitution of the Council, and that is the way in which this committee is being run. If you disagree with that, then you're disagreeing with the Constitution. But please don't be critical of the Constitution.
Well, I actually remember So, since the point has already been made, I'm only reiterating what Councillor Salinger to my left has already stated.
He's a member of our committee. Thank you very much.
Right, so as a councillor, I'm not allowed to say that. I'll sign it to the papers instead.
Thank you very much.
Right, the last petition was to keep the library open, was open to public questions and referred to Cabinet. This petition is asking Council to reopen the library, but it seems that anything with the words Friern Barnet or library in the wording is deemed to have already been discussed in the last 6 months. No, asking to reopen the library is a different proposition, and the public should have been allowed to ask questions and have their say. Do you really want a flurry of more FOI requests? Wouldn't it have been more democratic, open and transparent to have allowed the public to have asked their questions here this evening, especially as this could have given more views on which the committee makes its decision? So let's be clear. You're not being asked to allow the library to reopen, merely to refer the matter to Cabinet, on the basis that there is a huge groundswell of local support as shown by this petition, and B, because there are a great many issues to answer, mainly regarding the way in which offers by residents to work with the Council in order to keep the library open were treated. There are questions about equality, waiting for areas of deprivation, and funding available, to name but a few. Although I'm sure that people signing this petition wish the Hampstead Garden Suburb Volunteer Library every success, there does seem to be a great disparity in the way the Save Friern Barnet group were treated in trying to put forward proposals to keep the library open, with ideas and plenty of them for additional uses and including volunteer help. And even though the message that was continually drummed home was that any proposal should be at nil cost to the Council, the fact that Hampstead Garden Suburb was on a lease that would still have to be paid does not explain why the volunteers have been given $25,500 this year, along with their utility bills being paid, a supply of new books, IT equipment and software. Are the petitioners right in believing that the main aim was to get Friern Barnet Library closed at all costs in order to capitalise from the sale of the building? Because that's how it seems. The only offer was to move to Friern House, no matter how good a proposal was on the table, to work with the Council in order to provide a continuing library service and to provide more community use at the now closed building. Maybe you will be to the area, but if you haven't, you will not appreciate how central this building is to the local community. Local businesses, who I would hope the Council would seek to support, are reporting downturns in turnover since the library closed. The focal point for a meeting place has been lost, and the beautifully designed building is under threat of being torn to the ground. Yet in a move to counter the complaint that the library should have not closed until a fully functioning library was operational at Arts Depot, the action taken has resulted in a poor excuse for a library being open for minimal hours within walking distance of the still open North Finchley Library, thus attracting costs which would have been better spent working with the community to retain a local library service. The visitors to this minimal library service at Arts Depot are so few that it begs belief that one of the reasons Friern Barnet Library was earmarked for closure was based on the number of books taken on loan, a statistics which did not reflect the numbers who use the library for reading purposes, internet services, council surgery, and a plethora of other agencies such as the local police team who did use the building. We were told a feasibility study was to be carried out in June regarding a proposed library at Arts Depot. No news on that then, or is there? So let's see how sensible this sounds. Would you close a local service based on the premise that the place you want to move the service to might or might not be feasible? No. So what happens? You close the service anyway. Is it any wonder that people feel thoroughly ignored and let down? It is my belief that the only right and just course of action that the committee should take this evening is to vote to refer the petition to Cabinet. The people must be allowed to put their case. That is what democracy is all about. They should not be viewed as an irritant to the administration, but an asset. You have people from all walks of life and across the whole political spectrum who have come together and who want to work with the council to find ways of preserving the local library service in a purpose-built library building. You can play a part in enabling the community to have their say. Two sentences. You can facilitate their request, or you can ignore their views in the belief that everything is set in stone and that the views of the people count for nothing. The decision is yours.
Well said. Well said.
Have any of the committee any questions? Very briefly, Councillor Stein.
Maybe I'll just quickly ask Councillor Coakley-Webb. In interest of fairness, have any residents come to you and said they actually welcome this? You know, are they looking forward to a landmark library, or are they all asking for Friern Barnet Library to reopen? Are there some?
I think though the ideal situation for people would have been to have always and still would be to retain their local library. At the very least though, they would have hoped that they would have been treated with the same courtesy as North Finchley Library. In other words, they would have hoped that at the very least and minimum, that if this idea was set in stone, and if this feasibility idea is feasible or affordable, they would have expected that their library could have been retained until at least a fully functioning library was up and operational, not an excuse for a part-time library that is costing an absolute fortune for the number of people that pass through its doors.
Thank you very much indeed. Could I just remind you, Councillor Coakley-Webb, this committee does not have the power
I
to
did
refer
say
a
that.
decision.
I did say that. I said the power. I actually said, if you want me to repeat, that we are not asking. We know that the power is not in this committee to reopen the library. We know that this committee, though, has the power to refer it to Cabinet for further discussion.
No, we don't have the power to refer it to Cabinet. We have the power to make recommendations to the Cabinet member purely. If you read the papers at the item 1.1.
Recommendation, that's even better.
Well, I think better.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Salinger, thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Coakley-Webb.
Pauline.
Sorry. Sorry.
Question. Thank you. Thank you very much. In the event of your petition being successful, have you any idea of the cost of reopening Friern on its original site?
Well, I think the idea that the residents had, which they tried to put forward to council, was, I mean, we haven't got time to go through all the figures and details here, but they were trying to make the cost as less as possible. They were trying to make sure that other initiatives were brought into the library that would supplement the income. They were trying to make sure that there would be some voluntary input as well into the library. And you're welcome to ask them here. And I'm sure if they'd been allowed to speak tonight, they would have given you all of that more detail. But I think they genuinely feel very let down, as if all the impetus went to Hampstead Garden simply because there was a lease there that we had to keep going.
Thank you very
And
much
I wonder
indeed.
if the same situation would have happened at Hampstead if that hadn't been a lease to keep going, and what will happen to Hampstead when the lease runs out.
But you don't have a specific figure
20,000.
or knowledge of the figure.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor. There's no more questions. Thank you, Councillor Coakley-Webb.